Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Saturday, I hope you all are doing well. It is the game preview ahead of Everton's FA Cup fixture against Crystal Palace tomorrow afternoon. Away from home, the FA Cup quarter-final, 12:30 kick-off on a Sunday, which is just absolutely fantastic for those Evertonians travelling all the way up to London. I'm sure some will be travelling up tonight so they don't have to make that journey in the morning, and some will be getting up very, very, very early, maybe even not going to sleep in order to get down there to Selhurst Park ahead of this one. I was desperate to go myself. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a ticket, so I won't be travelling down. I'll be watching from home. But Frank Lampard enters his first FA Cup quarter-final as Everton manager in a game that ultimately for me is massively, massively important. And I've seen a couple of people on social media over the last few weeks and stuff talk about the FA Cup, and you know, ironically, this is something I've been saying for years and years and years ever since I started this channel, was that Everton are not a football club that are in a position to disregard any domestic competition, any domestic cup competition. I said it, I say it when the Carabao Cup fixtures come along. We're not a club that are in a position to say, we don't mind going out in this one, we'll put a weakened team out, or we'll play a less, a slightly weakened squad because we're not really bothered about this competition. We're not in that position. We haven't won a trophy for, over 25 years. I've been alive 23 years and never seen Everton win a trophy. So every single domestic competition that we're in, i.e. the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, we simply need to go all out to try and win. This is a bit of a different situation. I do understand that. Obviously, we're fighting relegation. We got a massive 3 points against Newcastle on Thursday night, which was absolutely monumental. Leeds picked up a massive 3 points for them with a last-minute goal against Wolves after coming from 2-0 down in yesterday. So that didn't necessarily help Everton. And I understand those Blues that are sort of sitting there saying, well, is the FA Cup just an unnecessary distraction to what's actually going on in the league? How... what's more important, staying in the Premier League or going as far in the FA Cup? Bearing in mind there's still, 4 or 5 really, really top sides in the competition that if Everton were to draw, be it in the semis or the quarter or the final, could potentially lose. And listen, it's a cup game and it's one game of football and anything can happen in one game of football, but there's some really, really difficult games in there that maybe just might be a bit too much for Everton, and this one tomorrow is a massively difficult game as well. However, I don't really buy into that personally for a number of reasons, and one of them isn't only because we haven't won a trophy for so long and we're so desperate for a trophy. One of them is because a win tomorrow would not only do fantastic for the club in terms of getting a trip to Wembley and getting into the semi-final of an FA Cup and how much that would mean, but it was also do wonders for the confidence and the momentum of the team. We spoke so candidly and so heavily yesterday about how important that win was against Newcastle and how that win could be a catalyst for, future results and performances, and about how that win could be the one that we're sitting here in, a couple of months' time, talking about how important that was in our quest to stay in the Premier League. However, if we go out and we lose tomorrow, and we lose in a manner that is similar to the defeat to Wolves or the defeat to, Tottenham Hotspur a couple of weeks ago, then all of that momentum and sort of confidence built up from that Newcastle performance and results is out the window, really, isn't it? It can't be a catalyst if we're going to go out tomorrow and put in another, lacklustre, spineless, gutless performance. And that's why it's absolutely imperative that these Everton players tomorrow, whoever it may be that Frank Lampard picks in that starting 11, gives absolutely everything, exactly like they did on Thursday night against Newcastle. Because I get people saying, oh yeah, but Cam, it's just a distraction and we need the points and we need to focus on Premier League games. That's fine, but we're not in a position to be able to throw away games, and we're certainly not in a position to be able to throw away performances. We need to give absolutely everything in every game, and imagine what a win tomorrow could do. We're all of a sudden we're sitting here at the end of the week with 3 extra points in the Premier League after a massive win and an FA Cup semi-final on the horizon. The overall mood of the football club, the overall aura, the overall feeling around the football club is just lifted tenfold, absolute tenfold. And as I said, Crystal Palace are a good side. They're a good side at home. They're a difficult team to beat. They're sitting 11th in the Premier League currently, and they had obviously last time out a fantastic point taken off Manchester City, a really, really good performance. They nullified Manchester City, they worked them down, they worked hard, and again, Palace are are a really, really difficult team to beat. They're a really, really difficult team to break down, especially at Selhurst Park, and it will be an extremely difficult game for Frank Lampard's Everton side tomorrow. And if you were to ask me now, am I confident going into it? I would say absolutely not, because we all know how bad we are away from home. We all know how drastic our away form has been this season, and whilst yes, that will change at some point, and what better time for it to change than tomorrow? I can't honestly sit here and say I'm confident that we'll come away with a result. But what we absolutely must do is put in a performance. If we're going to lose because Crystal Palace are on better form than we are, or Crystal Palace have got a better quality of player, or they've got more confidence than we have, then, that's football. You win some, you lose some, but it's about the manner in which you lose a game of football. And I'm not being negative, and I'm not sitting here saying we're definitely going to lose, because we won't, because Crystal Palace aren't the best team in the world. They've proven this season that they can be beaten. They've proven this season that teams can turn up, and teams can take points off them in the league, and give them trouble in cup competitions as well. And it's imperative that Everton do that tomorrow. But my point is, regardless of the results, these players have to give 110% again tomorrow for us as fans to be able to say, do you know what, there's fight there, there's grit there, there's determination there, there's desire. We can't see a repeat of Wolves, we can't see a repeat of Tottenham, because everything that we have taken positive from that Newcastle result will just be wiped away if we see, a negative, a negative spineless performance tomorrow. So the performance has got to be on top. Every single player in an Everton shirt has got to give everything. There's got to be battle, there's got to be desire, there's got to be willingness to win, there's got to be willingness to work, fight, battle for the club. And if we do that, I think we can come away with a positive result. Listen, again, it's. I remember Everton going away to Sunderland in an FA Cup quarter-final not so long ago and beating them. I remember us playing Liverpool in an FA Cup quarter-final at Goodison Park, and Dan Gosling scoring in extra time to win that game and ultimately take us to Wembley in 2009. And, that Liverpool game was certainly one that people were sort of looking at and thinking, oh, is this going to be a bit of a banana skin? Are we going to slip up here, this, that and the other? And we didn't. We ultimately turned up. We worked, much harder than they did, and we won the game. And that's very, very possible for that to happen tomorrow. And can you imagine what, as I said, a win would do for Everton tomorrow? Not just because we'd be in the semi-final of an FA Cup and we'd still be in the competition and we'd have an opportunity at silverware, but in terms of the confidence of the team, in terms of the momentum, in terms of the overall feeling and lift around the football club, we'd be going into that game against West Ham in a couple of weeks thinking, do you know what, we can get something here. We'd be going into Man United thinking, do you know what, these aren't that great, we're at home, let's make this horrible for them, let's make it hostile for them, let's come out with a result in this one. And that's why it's so important to almost replicate, well, I wouldn't say replicate Thursday night, because I think we will need more quality, because Crystal Palace are a much, much better team than Newcastle are. That's just a matter of fact. But the effort and the desire and the commitment and the energy and the intensity needs to be as it was on Thursday. And, as I said, it'd be difficult. It will be difficult, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Palace are a decent side. As I said, 11th in the Premier League. Last time was a really, really good draw with Manchester City at home. They beat Wolves the time prior to that. They beat Stoke 2-1 in the previous round of the FA Cup. But they've drawn with Burnley, before that, which wasn't a great result. Obviously, they won against Watford. So Patrick Vieira has inserted a different type of mentality, a different type of work rate into this Palace side. They've brought some really, really good players in this season. Obviously, they've got Conor Gallagher on loan from Chelsea, who was a fantastic signing, absolutely fantastic signing. Why somebody at Everton wasn't looking at him in the summer to bring in on loan is beyond me. He's a fantastic player. They've brought, obviously, Michael Elise in, who's fantastic as well. Eze, I'm not too sure on his fitness, but again, really, really talented player. They've got Wilfred Zaha there. Ousmane Edouard from Celtic come in again, really clinical forward. Mateta in there as well. So they've got a lot of quality, Crystal Palace, but they've got a defence that can be got at, and they've got a defence that Everton can certainly cause problems with to tomorrow. And that has got to be, that's got to be first and foremost. It'll be interesting to see how Frank Lampard actually approaches this game, because it's away from home, which is I think a conversation in itself in terms of how Frank Lampard approaches away games between now and the end of the season. I think the approach of being on the front foot and trying to play a high line and trying to play football with most teams is wrong away from home. That will work at Goodison because you've got the crowd behind you, and more often than not, as Newcastle did, teams will turn up at Goodison, they'll just want to throw 11 men behind the ball, and they'll just want to try and get out with a point, or try and get out with something out of the game so they can move forward. Whereas away from home, that won't quite work like that. Away from home, ultimately you will get teams that are willing to play. You will get teams that are willing to turn up, and go toe to toe with you, and ultimately, Frank Lampard has to put a system in place and a formation in place to be able to combat that. For me, I've said it before and I'll say it again. For me, that system would be very similar to what a lot of teams do when they go away from home, and pretty much 11 men behind the ball, and if you're not going to win it, don't lose it, and in a game like this, maybe try and get a counter attack, or try and get one sort of break in the second half, or take your opportunity, get a goal, and then defend the lead. Because I just think this Everton team going toe-to-toe. I mean, look at Spurs. Spurs aren't very good. Let's be honest. Spurs are nothing special whatsoever. And because we turned up and we tried to go toe-to-toe with them, we got absolutely embarrassed, and heads dropped, and the towel was thrown in, and this, that and the other. And that wasn't because Spurs are this unbelievable footballing team. That was just because they had a bit of quality, and they had a home advantage behind them. And they ultimately... They exploited Everton's weakness, which was a terrible offside trap line, a diagonal offside trap line, and also a system and a formation by Frank Lampard, which was just too open. It was too out there, and we haven't got the players to be able to play that style and that formation away from home. We haven't got the squad to be able to go toe to toe with these teams, and I actually think Crystal Palace are one of them as well. I think Crystal Palace are a good side, and again, they could comfortably turn round and win this game tomorrow if we do try and do that. So for me, I'd have most players behind the ball, and try and just hit them on the break and give them the ball, and make them break us down ultimately, and make them make a decision. And some people won't be happy with that. Some people won't like that. Some people will say, oh no, we want to see lovely attacking football. We want to see players getting at players. We want to see players, taking players on. But the reality of the situation is that A, we're still without our best centre-back in Yerry Mina. B, we're without our number one goalkeeper. Now, Asmir Begovic was fantastic the other day, granted, but we're still without our number one goalkeeper. We also are without Alan, of course, because his red card wasn't rescinded because the FA are an absolute corrupt bunch of knobheads. We're without Donny van der Beek because he's cup-tied. We're without Dele Alli because he's cup-tied. We're without Anwar El Ghazi because he's cup-tied. So that's, Dele Alli, Van der Beek, Jordan Pickford, Yerry Mina, Alan. You're talking 5 or 6 first-team players there that would be, most of whom starting, and another couple coming off the bench and trying to make an impact. They're unavailable for tomorrow's game. So the midfield will be probably Andre Gomez and Abdoulaye Doucouré, because we've simply got nobody else to go in there. I know some people will say, but what about Tyler Onyango? I think he's out injured, suffering from a hernia at the moment, or he's needing a hernia operation, something like that. So Frank Lampard will have to adapt his play, will have to adapt his style, will have to adapt his tactics to be able to get the most out of this game tomorrow. And if that's 11 men behind the ball and try and get it to extra time, try and get it to penalties and see what happens then so be it. But I think if you go out there with a defensive mentality and a defensive mindset of we're not going to concede here, and then you utilise the counter-attack, a little bit like we did against Newcastle. It wasn't the same style, because the style against Newcastle was very much get at them, try and break them down, try and try and score. You're at home going, and we just had very little quality. But the goal come from them trying to attack, and Seamus Coleman putting in an absolute wonderful challenge on the halfway line, and then Alex Iwobi playing a lovely 1-2 with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and a goal. It was a counter-attacking goal. 30 seconds before we scored, Newcastle were on the attack. Alan St-Maximin, had he have gotten past Seamus Coleman, was effectively one-on-one with Asmir Begovic and could have won it for Newcastle. So we have to look at situations like that tomorrow and think, where can we exploit this Crystal Palace defence? Also, if a Crystal Palace defence is sitting there thinking, we're going to have all of the ball today, they're just going to throw 11 men behind the ball, they're more likely to to become complacent. They're more likely to become a little bit, I'll stand them round doing nothing. So I'll watch what happens. Whereas if you've got the likes of Richarlison, maybe Dominic Calvert-Lewin will start, Damari Gray, Anthony Gordon hitting them on the counter attack, that might be our best way. I just can't help but feel like if we try and go toe to toe with Palace tomorrow, especially given there's, as I said, 4 or 5 first team players that won't be available, I can't help but feel like we will lose and they will control the game, and then all of a sudden, you go 1 or 2-0 down, and I think the confidence in the heads will drop again. So it's absolutely massively important how Frank Lampard approaches this game. Will he go with a 5 at the back? Probably, because A, we haven't got enough midfielders, but also B, again, we're away from home, and that might suit that sort of defensive tactic, that defensive style, if you like. And again, I wouldn't have too big of an issue with that. But Everton have ultimately got to do absolutely everything they can to win this game tomorrow, and hopefully Frank Lampard has learned his lessons from the game against Tottenham, and hopefully Frank Lampard also understands as well that Tottenham aren't great. They're simply not great. It's not like we turned up at Manchester City and you could say, oh yeah, but it's Manchester City. They're fighting for the league title, they're league champions, this, that, and the other. They're always gonna. Tottenham aren't brilliant. They're not very good. It's as simple as that. It was an average to good Premier League side done that to us, and Crystal Palace are a good Premier League side and have got really good quality in attack and players that can certainly hurt teams. And obviously we don't want the outcome tomorrow to be anything like what it was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium a couple of weeks ago. So it's ultimately on the manager to be able to put the style out there and put the tactics out there that are going to be be as the important to go out and win. Be the right ones to go out and win the game. And as I said before, a win would do us the absolute world of good. It would do us the absolute world of good. Not only because it would take us to a semi-final and we could all be sitting. We're going to all be sitting here tomorrow afternoon when I'm on the Instant Match Reaction trying to book tickets to Wembley, but again, the overall aura, the lift around the football club when we wake up on Monday morning and we think about the previous week as an Evertonian, which, let's be honest, we do. I wake up every morning and think, oh, we lost at the weekend and we've got these at the weekend. If we wake up on Monday morning and we're thinking, actually, do you know what? Midweek, beat Newcastle 1-0, big game, big 3 points, and then we beat Palace away from home, which is not only a good side that we've beaten, it's a good side away from home that we've beaten, which is rare, and it's a side that have taken us in. It's a win that's taken us into a semi-final of a competition. The ultimate, the mood, the feeling, the aura, the mentality around the football club is lifted. Everyone's a bit happier. Frank Lampard said in his press conference ahead of this one yesterday that the players understand that in football you can never get too high, you can never get too low, you can never get too happy, you can never get too down with results and performances. However, they all come in with a big smile on their face on Friday to train, and they were ultimately a lot happier yesterday coming into training than they were after the Wolves results, and that's because these footballers are human beings, and you've seen the video Everton have put out today, the tunnel access. You've seen how much it meant to the players when the final whistle went. You saw them all running on to the pitch and stuff. That meant a lot to a lot of them players. Go out and show us tomorrow that it means a lot to play in this blue shirt, because as I said on Saturday, this team just confuses the shit out of me. It absolutely confused the shit out of me. 1 minute I'm sitting here saying they don't care, they're not asked about Everton, and in another minute they look like they all do care, they look like they all want to win, they look like they all want to give everything, they look like they all love the football club. Just be Newcastle. Just put the Newcastle performance in every week. We won't win every game because there'll be teams that are better than us. There'll be managers that make better tactical decisions than Frank Lampard. There'll be players that make mistakes, and that's fine. Players make mistakes. That's what it is. It's football. But there's no excuse for not giving the effort, the desire, the work rate, the passion, the energy that was given against Newcastle. There's no excuse for it whatsoever. These are absolute athletes at the height of their game. There's not many human beings that are more athletically sound than Premier League footballers, high level Premier League footballers. I've heard people go, yeah, but Cam, they've already played the game this week, so they might be tired. These are athletes. These players are genetically gifted and talented, but also work their arse off every day to do this. To ultimately to be able to play. I'm not an athlete by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a 23-year-old lad from Liverpool who's not very good at football, eats shite pretty much every night, other than when my mum's in. She makes good food. I've got to say that in case she's listening. And sits on my arse for most of the time. And yet I can play footy 2, 3, 4 times a week with no problem whatsoever. These are Premier League, and obviously it's a different level, but these are Premier League footballers. So I don't want to hear it. Oh yeah, but they played the other day, Cam. No. Go and give everything. It's as simple as that. It's not hard. It's not a difficult thing to do. Go and give everything. And as I said, you know, the overall mood around the football club, if we win tomorrow, will just be unbelievable. Not only because we're into a semi-final, but also because of how good of a week this will have been. And then you build on that. Then you've got West Ham away. If you can go out and get something there, West Ham again. David Moyes, good form at the moment. Really big win in Europe last time out. But you can take points off West Ham. You can frustrate West Ham. Man United at home. Goodison crowd behind them. We've had a good couple of weeks. We play Man United at home. They're still in the shit that they're in. No reason why we can't win that game. Got a really good record against Man United at Goodison. This next 2, 3, 4 games are vital, and the way in which Everton perform and the way in which these players conduct themselves and hold themselves and you know, ultimately act in that 90 minutes tomorrow and in the next couple of games is so important. And you know, again, as I said, it's really, really important how Frank Lampard sets the team up, because, you know, ultimately, again, Palace for me have got stronger options because they've got much less injuries, and B also will be looking at, again, they'll be looking at a semi-final, they'll be looking at an opportunity to get into the next round, plus they're safe, so, you know, they're not in a situation in the league where they need to look behind themselves and worry. So, listen, it's a big game, it's an exciting game, it's a game that I am absolutely shitting myself for, but I'm not confident, but I am intrigued to see how this Everton performance goes. What I don't want to be doing is sitting here tomorrow afternoon saying back to typical Everton. Are we players not giving a shit, players throwing the towel in, players not performing, players not caring, this, that, and the other. Said it before and I'll say it again. Wins or lose, as Evertonians, if we can visibly see players giving absolutely everything, working their arse off, showing that desire, showing that battle, showing that commitment, showing that they love and care for this football club, i.e. the game against Manchester City in which we lost, but it was visible that these players give absolutely everything and work their bollocks off, and they were clapped off the pitch. We're not PSG fans, we don't expect players to score hat-tricks, and if they don't, they're going to get booed. We just expect them to give everything. We just expect them to work hard. We just expect them to earn the money that they're being given. These aren't on £100 a game or grand a month like the rest of us. You're talking 50, 60, 70, 80,000 pounds per week, Lamborghinis, Bentleys, and you might say, what does that matter, Cam? They can spend the money how they like. They absolutely can, but earn the fucking money then. Earn it. And they earned it on Thursday. But that's not... You don't turn up once and go, I earned my money on Thursday. No, you earn it every week. You earn it every time you put that shirt on. And tomorrow's the same. Let's get into the live comments then before we get into my predicted starting 11. If you are enjoying this one, by the way, so far, please hit that like button. It does only take a second. Phil Johnson says, hello, mate, great result, but need to build on it. Up the Soffies is right, spot on, Phil. ESC Andy says, reckon Patterson will play? No way, Seamus can play 3 games in a week. I don't think Seamus Coleman can play 3 games in a week. Obviously, John Joe Kenny is back because it was a double yellow card offence against Wolves. Whether or not he starts is a different question. But I would like to see Patterson in there. I would. There's a trust thing with Lampard that I'm a bit worried about, but I don't see why he shouldn't be in there. Ayakam says, Paddy, what's happening? Phil says, the FA will want an Everton-Liverpool final, guaranteed a huge TV audience. They probably will, but ultimately it's up to Everton to be able to turn up and perform, because Crystal Palace won't want an Everton-Liverpool final, and do we really think the FA will put a referee out there that will benefit Everton tomorrow? No, because they never do that. Phil says, how do I get a Mighty Blues icon? If you press the join button next to the subscribe button, hang on, pardon me. and you become a member of the channel, you'll be prompted to become a member. It's 99p. It's the cheapest I could make it. I don't usually ask people to join, but if you did join and if you would join, that would mean a great deal to me, and it does help the channel and it helps me personally as well. And then you will get the little icon. Is Lampard going to play? We have no midfield. We don't, but again, that's a problem for the manager, isn't it? That's a problem for the manager. I thought you were out, says Arsenal for life. No, we're still in it. We're still in it. Liam says, Alan gone for 3 is a huge loss. I wonder if Dele will get in against West Ham. I think he will. I think, again, he's got to start at some point. But with Dele, he's got to ultimately... A, he's got to prove that he deserves to start. But B, when he starts, he's got to show something. He's not shown anything yet. And I know you can say, he hasn't had a lot of time, or he hasn't had a lot of game time, or he hasn't done... He's come on an awful lot as a substitute with... 15, 20 minutes to go here and there. And again, I'm not saying it's easy. Of course, it's hard. Of course, of course that it's difficult in that situation. But for me, anyway, and I'm just saying this personally, Dele hasn't shown me anything that screams he needs to start for Everton. If I'm looking at, even if he's available tomorrow, if I'm looking at the team sheet, he ain't in the starting 11. Because he's not shown me anything. Now, maybe he needs to get that first start to be able to show us something, and then maybe we'll be able to sit here and go, do you know what, fair play. But at the moment, currently, and clearly in training as well, because we don't watch training, by the way, clearly in training as well, he's not showing the manager anything to say that he needs to start. And listen, Lampard will, if he's questioned, will say, oh yeah, he is showing he needs to start, he deserves to start, but I've got to get everyone involved, this, that and the other. But he's clearly not, otherwise he'd be in the starting 11. Thank you, mate, says Philip. Cup tie rule is at Socius. It is, says Mr. Hovo. Liam says, I'd like to see Gordon Central again, marking Gallagher. Maybe. We'll batter these, says Alex. Let's hope so. I reckon we'll beat Palace. They've been good recently. They blow hot and cold, says Mozza. I hope so. Going down RWF, stay up and win the cup, says Phil. Liam says DCL hat-trick incoming. I hope so. Philip says, even bigger match for the likes of Seamus. He'll probably never get a chance to lift the cup. It is. I wouldn't be playing Seamus Coleman tomorrow because I think 3 games in 1 week is A, too many, but also B, I think I just wouldn't want him to have a bad game. I just think Seamus Coleman needs to be managed, and ultimately Nathan Patterson needs to be given a decision. Nathan needs to be given his opportunity, not only because he deserves to be given his opportunity, but also because Seamus Coleman needs to be managed. 3 games in 1 week is almost hanging him out to dry, really. And I'm not saying he won't perform tomorrow. He might be excellent tomorrow because he might have took loads of confidence from what was an excellent performance on Thursday. But we've seen this before with Seamus, and it hasn't ended well. That Kel says this importance is way more important. The performance is way more important than the result tomorrow. Fair. The performance is. Yeah, well, listen, the result is important. The result is important because, as I said, the win not only takes us to the semi-final, which is obviously something to look forward to and good for the players, but also, gives us that sense of, again, as I said before, coming out of a week with 2 wins, 1 in the league and 1 to take you into a semi-final at Wembley would do massive for the club and the feeling around the football club and the overall, as I said, the overall feeling for the situation that we're in. However, the performance is massive tomorrow, absolutely massive tomorrow. If we are to lose, and I'm not saying we will. I actually believe we can win this one, and I believe if we set up correctly and Lampard sets us up correctly, and the players approach this game in the correct manner, then I do think we've got as much of a chance of winning this game as any. But if we were to lose, then as you rightly said, that the performance has got to be there. We've got to be able to leave the game going, do you know what, we lost there because they were better than us, or a silly referee decision, or this, that and the other. But the performance, there was effort, there was desire, there was commitment. Let's just move on now into West Ham. We can't lose and be sitting here going, why were players strolling around? Why were players throwing the towel in? Why would we have any chances? We can't be having those conversations. Good to be back in the team, says Unknown is right. My mate Ananda says, when are you scheduling an appointment to see the doctor, mate? For me, tooth, it's on Monday. Monday at 12:30. I'm going in. But you know what? To be honest, it's gotten a lot better. It's gotten a lot better over the last couple of days or so. Ironically, it was since the game. It was since screaming me head off at the game, so I don't know whether I've done something to me jaw and, as I said yesterday, detached it or something and then magically reattached it during the game. I don't know, but ever since the game where I was screaming and shouting me head off, it seems to be a lot better, which is a bit mad. Mad Mouse says, I've got that 95 feeling when it comes to the cup. I hope so, mate. Unknown Realist says, feels crazy, feels like we played Bournemouth Wood. yesterday. Quarters are already. Yeah, Lampard is the manager for our future, says Dimitri. Is right. Thought it was like next weekend, says unknown. No, I have a good feeling about tomorrow, says Liam. Does Alan's red card come into play for tomorrow's game? It does. He isn't available, says Joshua. Spot on. Hen says, Cam, what are your realistic thoughts on our chance of getting to the semis? I think we've got every chance as any tomorrow. We're playing a good team away from home. You know, our away form has been dreadful, and Crystal Palace are a good side, but they're not the best team in the world. They're a team that can lose games of football. They're a team that can be exploited defensively. We've got players in there that should take a lot of confidence from that performance on Thursday and should go into tomorrow's game bouncing and believing in themselves. That's another big thing for me ahead of tomorrow is belief. The players simply can't be thinking about the fact that we've been shite away from home this season. They can't be going into tomorrow going, oh, but it's away and we've been shit away from home all season, this, that and the other. The players have got to go in thinking, we were boss on Thursday and we got a much-deserved win against a referee that, let's be honest, didn't want us to win. Let's bounce into this one and let's do the same. I don't want any of those Everton players to be thinking about our away form because it sets a mentality in there already before the ball's even being kicked as of, oh shit, we're away from home, so this probably isn't going to go well, and you can't have that. Stuart Atwell is the official, says EFC Andy. Yeah, he is. And Austin says, what's that tattoo of, Cam? Which one, mate? I've got a few. This is the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker. I've got a couple, mate. Anyway, let's get into our predicted starting 11 before we finish up then. So as I said, it'll be interesting to see which starting 11 Frank Lampard does go with tomorrow, but this is the one I have predicted. I'm going with Asmir Begovic in goal. Really, really good last time out in the Premier League, of course. Really good performance. Made a couple of really, really big saves on Thursday night. Jordan Pickford is still out. The manager confirmed that yesterday in his press conference, so absolutely no need to sit here and have a deep conversation about Asmir Begovic starting because it's happening. Left back, I am actually going with Ben Godfrey. Now I've gone with a 4 at the back on the basis that I think it may be more important to have 3 in midfield. But if he went with a 5 at the back, I wouldn't particularly be surprised and I wouldn't particularly be worried or too pissed off about it. But I've gone with Ben Godfrey at left back. Thought he was really, really solid the other day. I think defensively he offers more than what Vitaly Mykolenko does, and Vitaly Mykolenko might offer a little bit more going forward. He doesn't offer an awful lot going forward, and I'm not saying he never will, but at the moment he doesn't. And I think against players like Zaha, Eze, Elise, I don't know if Eze's fit actually, but Elise and players like that, I think having Ben Godfrey in there, who's just a really solid defender, would be more beneficial than having Mykolenko in there. 2 centre-backs have gone for Michael Keane and Mason Holgate. I think they were both sound on Thursday. Now obviously this is a very different circumstance, very different situation, and it is within the realms of possibility for them to have a stinker tomorrow because that has happened before. But let's be positive, they were very good on Thursday. They dealt with everything they needed to, and hopefully they can take confidence, and as I said, they can take some momentum into tomorrow and do it again. And then right back, I actually am going for Nathan Patterson. I don't think Seamus Coleman should start this game. I just think Seamus is at that point now where he has games like he did on Thursday where he exerts so much and he gives so much. There's so much desire, commitment and passion that he just simply can't do it the week after. He simply can't do it the week after, and that's fine because that's his age, that's his, where he is in his career. That's fine. That's all footballers will get, at that point at some point. But that is for the manager. And probably Seamus as well, but the manager to recognise and think, right, okay, you were excellent on Thursday, but how likely are you to give me that performance again 3 days later? Or how likely are you to give me your performance against Wolves, which was absolutely pathetic? Probably more likely the Wolves because, again, of how much was exerted on Thursday. So, again, if he starts, I wouldn't be able to sit here and go, disgraceful decision because he was brilliant on Thursday, Seamus Coleman. But I'd have Patterson in there. Give him a go. He's got a point to prove. He's ultimately got to go out there and show that he's good enough to be in and around this Everton team. And I think he'll be hard in the tackle. I think he'll work hard. I think he'll battle. I think he'll offer something going forward. And he'll offer Crystal Palace something to think about. He'll offer him something to think about. And ultimately, he will give their defence another another thought. And yes, defensively he might be a little bit shaky, but Seamus Coleman defensively is a little bit shaky. Seamus Coleman against Eze or Elise or I keep saying Eze, I think he's out. Elise or Zaha or Conor Gallagher is exceptionally worrying as well. So I'm going with Patterson in there. It probably won't be Patterson, but I'm going in there. Midfield, I'm going with Abdoulaye Doucouré, Andre Gomez, and then Alex Iwobi in front of them. Either Alex Iwobi or Anthony Gordon, one of the two. Yeah, obviously Alan's out. Donny van der Beek's cup tied. We know Tom Davis is out. Gabaman's out on loan. So we haven't got many options, have we, really? Let's be honest. Fabian Del's still out, I think. He probably never play for Everton again. So, yeah, for me, Gomez will go in there. Thought he done alright when he come on the other day. Nothing really of note, nothing really to sit here and talk too much about. Doucouré was excellent, absolutely excellent, and Abdoulaye Doucouré will have a big job on his hands tomorrow, because he will have to do the work of a couple of players, and that hasn't necessarily gone well when he's had to do that previously. But we haven't really got many other options, have we? Because the others are out injured. Obviously, Alan's out suspended, so not injured. Sorry, Alan's suspended, and Van der Beek's cup tied. So yeah, that's the two I'm going with the midfield, and then Alex Iwobi in front of them. Looking at, he was excellent against Newcastle. Not only the goal, which will give him the world of confidence and do him the world of good, but also his overall effort and determination and desire throughout the entirety of the game was commendable. And it's important that we sit here and we can appreciate that, and we can understand that, and we can give him credit for that, because that's what he deserves. When players put performances in like that, they deserve to be credited for it. We're quick to sit here and have a go when they don't put performances in like that. So when they do, it's important that we sit here and we credit them for it. And I think Alex Iwobi was fantastic the other day, and I think he deserves another go at it. Will he be the same tomorrow? We'll have to wait and see. I certainly do hope so. And then forward line, I'm going for Gordon, Gray and Richarlison. Again, Dominic Calvert-Lewin doesn't make it in. And I think the reason for this isn't even necessarily anything particularly to do with Dom. Dom will want to start, and Dom will understand that, A, if he wants to stay at Everton, he needs to start playing games of football. But B, if he wants to leave Everton and he wants to move in the summer, he's not going to get a move to a good team if they're going to look at him and go, well, hang on, you didn't get in that Everton team for the last however many weeks of the season, and you were shite, and they were shite. How didn't you get in that team? So, but the reality is, I just don't think Dominic Calvert-Lewin suits Frank Lampard's style. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin suits the style of having two fullbacks or wingers crossing the ball into the box constantly so he can get on the end of it. He's not a player that's going to take 3, 4, 5 players on and dribble around the edge of the box to score. He's not a player that's going to hit them from 30 odd yards and score. Yes, he come on and he made an impact on Thursday, and his flick back to Alex Iwobi was absolutely perfectly timed. But let's be honest, the fullbacks aren't necessarily getting forward throwing crosses in, and Demarai Gray and Anthony Gordon aren't the type of wingers that are going to constantly throw crosses in either. So I actually think it's more beneficial having Richarlison in there. I think he works a little bit harder, I think he gets about a little bit more, and I think he's better with the ball at his feet, and he's more likely to score from other situations than just the ball being put in the 6-yard box. But having said that, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a fantastic striker and is fit now. And again, Frank Lampard will have to find a way to get him in, and will have to find a way to adapt the system for Dominic Calvert-Lewin to get in there. But I just think at the moment, I don't see how it works. I really, really don't see how it works. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe Dom will start tomorrow and score an hat-trick, and I'll be sitting here saying what an absolute knobhead I am. But I just, at the moment, I don't see how or where that works. I really, really don't. But yeah, there you go. That is my predicted starting 11. If you agree with it, then please do let me know. If you disagree with it, then let me know in the comments and leave your predicted starting 11 in there as well. Anyway, look, we are going to finish it up there then. If you have enjoyed this one, please do hit the like button. Massive game tomorrow. Massive game tomorrow. Listen, we've got to go out there and we've got to put a performance in, and imagine what a win would do as well. Not only because we'd be in a semi-final at Wembley, but imagine what a win would do for the confidence, for the aura, for the feeling around the football club. It would be unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. Listen, we are going to leave it there then. Big thanks to everybody in the live comments. Really, really do appreciate it. If you're watching as a YouTube video, please leave your comments down below and we'll get involved with as many of them as we possibly can. We'll be back tomorrow with the instant match reaction and the player ratings directly after the game, so don't forget to join us for them. If you're watching as a YouTube video, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Come on, up the toffees. Let's hope we can get the win. And then, you know, we hopefully can go on for 4 or 5 games and pick up some really, really important results in the league. But focus is on tomorrow. Let's go out there, get the win, and let's get to Wembley. Big thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.